What it do, YouTube, man? It is your boy Solid back with another solid reaction, and today we got debunking the biggest lie told about Kobe Bryant's career. Now, I don't know what the biggest lie told about Kobe Bryant's career. Maybe it's something I just ain't, I argued about all the time, and I just was like, bro, it ain't no worth arguing about it because some people could be wrong, some people could be right. But we're going to go ahead and check this video out, man. If this is your first time seeing your boy Solid on your screen, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you can check out all my reactions. And if you like reactions coming from your boy like me, go ahead and smash that like button. It don't cost you a cent, just a little bit of your time. But let's get into this one and see what's going on, bro. I'm really looking forward to this.
What's up, YouTube? It's the one and only legend of winning, aka Low. And in today's video, we're going to talk
I'm gonna turn him up a little bit.
The myth, the legend, Kobe Bean Bryant, who's a Hall of Famer, my favorite player, and just a few weeks ago was named one of the top 75 greatest players of all time. Now, to be fair, Kobe Bryant is a very polarizing player, and with that stance, there's a lot of criticism that also follows his greatness, most of which I do agree with and I do believe is valid. However, there is one piece of criticism that I never thoroughly understood: the concept of Kobe Bryant is inefficient.
Kobe was efficient, bro.
Kobe was efficient, but at the same time, he
was not that efficient.
Kobe is not efficient at all.
Very inefficient.
Oh, he was inefficient.
Now, the reason why this statement...
I remember why I don't make this argument with people. Because people are fucking stupid. To say Kobe Bryant is inefficient is to say Magic Johnson isn't the greatest five-way player to ever do it. To say that Kobe Bryant is inefficient is to say Michael Jordan is not the GOAT. To say Kobe Bryant is not efficient is to say LeBron James does not have longevity. To say Kobe Bryant is inefficient is to say D Wade is not the greatest shooting guard to ever play the game. Like, what are you saying? What are you saying? These are all facts. We can't change that. Now, I look at it and I say it in the sense, I know people probably like, yo, why you say D Wade the greatest shooting guard of all time? Because he's the only shooting guard of all time. Like, let's be honest. When we look at the game, people like to say, oh, this and this. Those guys are interchangeable. They can play power forward and they can play shooting guard. D Wade cannot play power forward. He is the truest shooting guard to ever play the game. Go look at the stats. Go check it out, bro. I've done the research. But man, let me just finish. Before I get into D Wade, we'll talk about D Wade on another video.
It always leaves me scratching my head is because when I was watching Kobe Bryant, it never felt like he was inefficient. It felt like he was dominant, producing in meaningful moments. One of the greatest scorers I've ever seen in my life.
I thought he was.
And of course, there were the
I still think he is. What did I say?
Certainly are a blemish on his career. And please don't spend too much time on the last 3 years of his career because I'm definitely not going to try to defend it. But as a whole, I just don't understand how 19 years of a career as great as Kobe Bryant can be so synonymous with the term inefficient. So in today's video, we're going to see if that's true, because personally, I have a hard time believing that it is. Now, in terms of finding out how efficient a player is in the NBA, there are a handful of ways of doing so. For one, there's an actual stat called efficiency, or you can look at one's PER, which stands for player efficiency rating. However, most people are not aware of these statistics, and even
I remember when kid had the blonde hair,
don't even know how to properly calculate them to make an assessment on a player. But if you are someone who claims that Kobe Bryant is inefficient based off of his PER, I then would ask you, would you then claim that players such as Klay Thompson, Reggie Miller, or Ray Allen were inefficient because all three of those players have a lower PER than Kobe Bryant? Which more than likely, no, you would not. And the biggest reason why is because when people are critiquing Kobe Bryant's efficiency, they are referencing how efficiently does he put the ball in the basket. And the reason why I'm confident to coming to this conclusion is because when many people are making this assessment on Kobe, they then pivot to facts about Kobe Bryant's field goal percentage, or also highlighting how he has the most misses in NBA history, which is factually correct. However, and I cannot believe I have to say this in 2021, but it still blows my mind how many experts still make this mistake to this day, but field goal percentage does not calculate efficiency. Now, why is that? Well, simply put, because the definition of being efficient means achieving maximum productivity with minimum wasted effort or expense. And in basketball terms, that basically means maximizing the amount of points that you score with minimum amount of attempts shooting the basketball. And because of that simple definition alone, field goal percentage literally cannot equate to efficiency, because the only thing that field goal percentage equates to is accuracy. Let's say you have player A and player B. player A shot 5 for 10 from the field, all of which were 2-pointers, so that means that they scored 10 points with a field goal percentage of 50%. However, player B shot 4 for 9 from the field, which means that they have a field goal percentage of 44%. But since all of the shots that they made were 3-pointers, they were able to score 12 points.
Damn.
Now, even though
that's a good way to read it.
That's a good way to read it. They still are more efficient than player A because they were able to score 12 points on 9 shot attempts, while player B was only able to produce 10 points on 10 shot attempts. So again, scoring more points on fewer attempts, thus making that player more efficient. So now you may be wondering, how exactly do we calculate efficiency if field goal percentage is unable to do so? Well, the best way to do so is to look at one's true shooting percentage. And the reason why is because true shooting percentage takes into consideration that threes are more valuable than twos, as well as looking at one's production at the free throw line. And the reason why it is important to make sure we take into consideration free throws is because 20 to 30% of the points that volume scorers record come from the free throw line. Now, for the people out there who are concerned about the legitimacy of true shooting percentage, especially when you're trying to figure out the true efficiency of big men who did not shoot threes or also were horrible at free throw shooting, trust me when I say please don't be too concerned, because when you look at the numbers, you'll clearly see those players are still very efficient scorers. But what is a legitimate concern is determining what is the standard of efficiency. Because comparing Kobe Bryant to today's era of basketball, quite honestly, just wouldn't do him any justice, mainly because how much the game of basketball has changed since he's played a full season in the NBA. And so to make sure we eliminate all of those factors, we're only going to be comparing Kobe Bryant to his peers, players who played within the years 2000 to 2013 and played at least 500 games, and players who averaged at least 19 points or more. Not only does this remove all variables that would be out of Kobe Bryant's control, while also excluding the tail end of certain players' careers like Karl Malone, or the first couple of years of other players' careers like Damian Lillard. So, with those parameters set, what exactly is the standard of efficiency between the years of 2000 and 2013, or better known as the league average true shooting percentage? And that number is 53%. So, that's the magic number, and here is the graph. On the x-axis, we have the points per game average, and on the y-axis, we have the true shooting percentages. Again, 53% is the league average throughout this 14-year span, so that line will.
I want to know who that dude is up there, bro. Way at the top right there.
On the screen represent all of the volume.
But about 21%
throughout this.
That's probably LeBron.
Now, of course, on the screen we have some.
Be honest, 21.
All the way up here, we have Ray Allen, who was easily the most efficient perimeter-oriented player within his time frame, and right above him, we have both Amari Stoudemire and Shaquille O'Neal. So, for the people out there who were concerned about how to.
What the? Okay, I thought that was gonna be like a LeBron one. Okay, my fault.
Shooting percentage affects big men. Well, both players not only did not shoot any threes, but Shaq is historically one of the worst free throw shooters in NBA history, and yet both of them have the highest true shooting percentages. Now, below league average, you have players such as Monte Ellis and Antoine Jamison. However, what really took me by surprise was
I didn't even think about
McGrady.
T-Mac.
Take into consideration that McGrady was dealing with a lot of injuries, as well as him being a subpar free throw shooter, then I guess a true shooting percentage of 52% somewhat makes sense. But we're not here for that, because we got to figure out where exactly is Kobe Bryant. Now, if you are someone who believes that Kobe was inefficient, then you probably believe that this dot here belongs to him, as not only is it someone below league average,
that's right behind me, my fault,
also has a high volume in terms of his scoring prowess. However, you would be wrong. That dot doesn't belong to Kobe Bryant. That's actually Allen Iverson.
Oh,
who had a shooting percentage of 51.8.
Oh, snap. That's crazy.
Which means that this dot here belongs to Kobe Bryant, who averaged 27.8 points per game in this time frame, with a true shooting percentage of 55.6%.
That's not,
which makes his true shooting percentage above league average. But more importantly, this does mean that Kobe Bryant is indeed an efficient volume scorer. Now, with that myth being debunked, and while I have your attention, there are a few other things that I want to just tackle just briefly.
Okay.
It is amazing to me that Kobe, who again has a true shooting percentage of 55.6, still consistently gets hit with the label of inefficient, but you have a player like D Wade, who has a true shooting percentage of 56.7%, or even LeBron, who had a true shooting percentage of 57.5% during his time frame, and yet no one claims that they are quote unquote inefficient.
I do. Not D Wade, but LeBron James. I do. I'm not gonna hold you. I'm one of them dudes. That's me. You looking for him? You found him. G. Shit. I'll be honest with you. LeBron James is no. He's just inefficient. He's, you know what? No. I think I'm misinterpreting inefficient. Okay, I'm sorry. He just ain't clutch. Let me refute. Let me change what I'm saying. I'm gonna step back on that. Yes, he's efficient when it comes to scoring the basketball. This man is very efficient. I will give him that. He's just not clutch. That's what I meant to say. I don't want to take his roses. That's the rose he deserves.
Despite the fact that their level of efficiency is relatively similar to Kobe's. But hey, I guess technically speaking, they're higher, so you might be able to make the argument. But what about KG or Tim Duncan? Both players have a true shooting percentage that is lower than Kobe's. And again, no one doesn't claim that they are inefficient ball players.
Yeah, that's
so
facts. Tim
because of
Duncan.
this, I dug a little
That's
deeper.
facts.
Because there had to be some inkling of proof that Kobe Bryant was inefficient at scoring the basketball. I looked back.
I think
on a
people do the
year-to-year
eye
basis
test.
throughout the
The reason why I feel like a lot of people say Kobe was inefficient is because of the eye test. And if you don't know what the eye test is, then like I'll just kind of briefly explain to you. The eye test plus the side is like the opposite of numbers. The eye test is, man, I've seen him miss several shots. Man, I've seen him miss more shots than he's made. You think you've seen him miss more shots than he's made. You haven't. You just don't count the little things that matter, like the free throws and the layups. The only thing that you can remember is the acrobatic plays that he made, or the crazy three balls that he missed, the crazy dunks that he missed. Those are the things that you saw. You didn't pay attention to the free throws that he made, or the layups, the simple layups, or the fast break points. You didn't pay attention to those, so your mind tells you they didn't exist. So to you, the eye test is, oh, he missed all of these points, he's inefficient. But the numbers don't lie. The numbers show the truth. Same thing with Michael Jordan. It said Michael Jordan wasn't a finisher. But at the end of the day, that's because, like Michael Jordan missed a lot of his game winners. And I think he only made, to be honest, I think he only made, like they said, maybe 100, maybe. It might be less than that of his game winner when it came to the end buckets. He was the deciding variable at the end of the game. Michael Jordan did. But a lot of people say he's not finisher. He can't finish the game. But we see he can. At 100, with 100 more, that's what we're seeing. So that's just what I'm trying to say. People don't look at the numbers, they look at the eye test. Man, I ain't see him do that, bro. So he ain't good like that. LeBron James, same thing. Man, LeBron James can't seem to, he don't play good in the fourth. That's something that I truly believe. But again, that's probably an eye test thing for me because I've watched him play. I don't really look at his numbers like that. I'm be honest with you. I don't look at LeBron James' numbers on a consistent basis. Do I do it sometimes? Yeah, not all the time. So I'm just being factual with it. A lot of us use the eye test and say that's what it is when it really isn't that way. But who cares, man? Y'all gonna say it, and we gonna always have the numbers to prove that it's unfactual.
Years 2000 and 2013, and no, still could not find a single year where Kobe Bryant had a true shooting that was below league average. Matter of fact, He has some seasons where his true shooting percentage
was
is
higher.
3 to 4% higher than league average. Actually, the
Look
year
at
in
that.
which he led the
09.
NBA, averaging 31 points per game, he had a true shooting percentage of
08.
58%, which is mind-blowing and should be even further proof that Kobe Bryant is not inefficient at
07
all, but yet I kept digging. I then went to the playoff numbers and still no proof. Kobe Bryant's true shooting percentage just dipped by 1%.
In the
However, that is
playoffs?
very common amongst many volume scores.
Yeah.
But even with a 1% drop in his true shooting percentage, Kobe would still be above league average. Furthermore, when I dug even deeper into Kobe Bryant's playoff performances, I started to notice a very consistent pattern, and that is Kobe Bryant
boy Rick
matched up
Fox.
against some of the most toughest defensive competition in league history.
Yes, sir.
See, Kobe played in arguably the most defensive-oriented era in NBA history.
Yes.
And on top of the fact that he played in the Western Conference,
I give him that. He was during that transition from, the bang up 80s and 90s to the smooth 20s. Like, he was in that era. He was in the 90s playing against Mike when they was banging people up, and now he was in the era when they were with LeBron where they don't play defense. So he was in that transitional era where he was like, defense was really good. It was no hand checking, but people knew how to play defense. Now I feel like defense is a liability. Like, you don't know how to play defense? That's cool. Can you shoot a three? Perfect, dude. We'll take you second overall. Dude ain't never played defense in his life. And that's just what it comes down to. And I don't know, man. To me, I just feel like this era, the 20s, the 90s and the 20s, I don't know how the fuck you would say that. I might be saying that wrong, okay? So don't blast me in the comments. I'm just saying. The 20s and the 90s were like that era where defense actually mattered. Defense is what won games. And that's the era I grew up in, was the defense wins games. Offense just sells tickets. And now it's like offense wins games, and defense just you look stupid if you play defense. Like, why are you playing defense that tight? Like, bro, I'm trying to win. You're playing defense weird. Like, I've had people constantly say that they play some people play defense too hard on them. Like, what? It's defense. Either you get by me or you don't.
Which was
That's
significantly
crazy.
tougher than the Eastern Conference, and it actually makes sense how consistently
Yeah.
Kobe matched up against top 10 defenses in the NBA on a year-to-year basis. To put a number on it, again, between the years of 2000 and 2013, Kobe Bryant matched up against 36 teams in the playoffs. Out of those 36 teams, 28 of them had a top 10 defense or better.
15 had
which means
5,
that over
10 had
75% of the time,
God.
Kobe was matching up against one of the top 10 defensive units in the NBA that year. And to make things even more interesting, there was only one time in Kobe's entire postseason career where he had the privilege to match up against a team that had a bottom 10 defense. This matchup occurred in the 2010 Western Conference Finals,
and
where
that's
the Lakers
when
went
he
up
got
against a Phoenix Suns team that had the 23rd ranked defense in the NBA that season. And by the end of the series, you could argue Kobe had the best series of his entire career, averaging
cooked
nearly
them boys.
34 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, and with a true shooting percentage of nearly 64%, which was roughly 12% higher than league average that season. Now, what exactly does all this mean? Well, let me put some numbers on it so you can get a better understanding of how impressive all of this is. During the years of 2000 and 2013, the league average defensive rating is 105.6. However, Kobe Bryant's competition in the playoffs on average had a defensive rating of 102.4. And remember, with defensive rating, the lower the number, the better, which means that Kobe Bryant's defensive competition in the playoffs had a defensive rating differential of negative 3.1.
Wow.
To put that into context, if we did the exact same thing for Michael Jordan, the league average throughout his years in the playoffs was 107.5, with his competition having a defensive rating of 105.3, which means that the defensive differential would be less than Kobe's. And if we did the exact same thing with LeBron, again, the defensive differential is not on par with Kobe Bryant's competition.
This fucking screen.
Meaning
It's weird.
that Kobe Bryant had to match up against tougher defensive competition throughout his playoff career. So the fact that Kobe's shooting efficiency only dropped by 1%, despite the fact that he matched up against all-time great defensive units throughout his postseason career, is even more mind-blowing and should further dispel any narrative that Kobe Bryant was quote-unquote inefficient. So, with all of this time, research, and context implied into Kobe Bryant's career and the label of him being inefficient finally being debunked, you would believe that I would be content in the concept of debunking this whole Kobe Bryant is inefficient narrative. But I'm just not. I'm sorry, people. I don't understand how so many people can be wrong at this. There has to be some way that people are looking at this through a lens of Kobe Bryant being
It's the eye test.
So let's just remove all variables and blindly compare Kobe Bryant's true shooting percentage between the years 2000 and 2013, which again is 55.6%, to today's era of basketball, because that would be the only way possible that I can imagine that someone could confidently claim
mask. I remember
that
when he wore
Kobe
that
Bryant
mask,
is
bro.
indeed inefficient. But even when I do that, there aren't that many years where that would be applicable to. I looked over several years over the course of the past decade, and honestly only came up with 3 years where Kobe Bryant's true shooting percentage would be below league average. Those 3 years are 2019, 2020, and the 2021
So the years
season.
he was retiring.
But that's literally it.
The
so
ending.
even if you are someone who wouldn't use relative true shooting percentage and just ignorantly compare Kobe Bryant across league history just willy-nilly, there's only 3 years in which you could claim that Kobe Bryant was an inefficient volume scorer. But if you do that, you're dumb. You are literally
Yeah.
stripping away several layers of context that is needed for this complex conversation. Furthermore, after me and my team did the research for this video, shout out to Classy and No Layups, we all agreed that Kobe Bryant is not only efficient, but there are
one of
very
the greater
legitimate
efficient
arguments that back up the claim that he is one of the greatest scorers the league has ever seen. But if that is not a stance that you are willing to take, I beg you please, at bare minimum, stop calling Kobe Bryant inefficient, because it is easily one of the biggest lies I've heard being told about one of the all-time greats.
Facts.
If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. And again, huge shout out to my research.
All right, man. Thank y'all guys for checking out this video, man. I'm gonna just talk over real quick because that's how, that's what I do. Look, anyways, the way I feel about it is it's simple. People don't want to recognize the power, and you know what it is? It's the younger generation. The younger generation have fell so far deep into the head of heels of LeBron is the greatest player to ever live that they don't look back at the people who came before him. The Kobe Bryants, the Michael Jordans, the Stocktons, the Malones, the Charles Barkleys, the Magics, the Larrys. They don't think about these players who were way in my world way better than LeBron James will ever be. The players who came in and just did what they had to do on a consistent basis. And the truth is, Kobe Bryant didn't have a great start to his story when he got into the league. Neither did Michael Jordan. Neither did Karl Malone and stuff like that. The only two we can really say who had a great, amazing start to their NBA career will be Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. Those two guys came in and they turned the league around. But they also came in a league that was broken, a league that did not have the caliber players that they were. Like, these two men were great. But what I'm really trying to get at is Kobe Bryant is very efficient, man. He is one of the greatest scorers of all time. He is on the Mount Rushmore of greatest players. If you don't think he's on the Mount Rushmore of greatest players, I don't understand it, because Kobe Bryant did a lot of stuff that Mike did. And the fact that people want to say LeBron James is better than Kobe is blasphemy to me. Like, he has 5. You have 4. He's won more defensive titles. You have 0. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, you have 0. When it all boils down, Kobe Bryant is a better player than LeBron James. So why can people not understand that he's more efficient? He's more gravitated. He's more of a finisher. Oh, man, that's my phone going off. All right, man. Thank y'all guys for checking out this video, man. I will see y'all in the next one. Solid is out. Peace.